Toronto was really good. We sucked. Those are the words of John Tortorella 3 times, Allison, maybe 4 times.
That was pretty much it.
Yeah. Aaron Portzline with you on the patio press box here. Allison Lucan is here with us. Blue Jackets lose to the Toronto Maple Leafs 3-0 tonight. The series is now tied 1-1. Game 3 set for Thursday now at 8 p.m. Allison, you can't say this is the exact opposite of Sunday night's game because I don't think really anything went Columbus's way in this one. Almost no sustained offensive push from Columbus. Really, I can't think of successive shifts that were really effective by the Blue Jackets. They took 5 penalties. They survived that, but that has to ruin the flow of the game. They were on their heels almost the entire night. Austin Matthews scores, Tavares scores. The Leafs kind of got it going a little bit tonight. Your thoughts on what we just witnessed?
Yeah, I mean, and first and foremost, we want to extend our thoughts to Jake Muzzin, who left the game due to injury. We obviously hope for the best for him. But, I texted you halfway through this game, somewhat joking, this team does not do well in afternoon starts for years. They just don't.
Yeah.
And it was I don't know if they got too confident. I don't know if they got too comfortable. I don't know if they were just off, and the early effect to the defense, rolling the defense with Dean Kukin out for a little bit, slowed their flow. But this didn't look like neither team looked like the team we saw in game 1. So I'm now very interested to see what game 3 is all about.
Yeah, right. So they got through the first period. It's 0-0, horribly outplayed in the first period. And I'm saying to myself, well, this is the push you expected from Toronto.
100%.
This is the push. They survived the push at 0-0. Everything starts anew in the second period. Everything didn't start anew in the second period. It was just more of the same, if not worse than the first. And by the third period, Tortorella has switched his lines up. We'll see where that goes. Honestly, this is the kind of game, too, that almost makes me go back to 1 and think, do they really have an offensive presence even in that game that was good enough? I don't think it was. They just got away with it. I'm not sure how worrying that is, but I think the Blue Jackets really have yet to establish themselves offensively in this series in any way. Even in the gritty, make them pay a price, cycle down low, grind it out. They haven't done even any of that. You didn't expect them to be as skillful as Toronto, but they haven't played even their brand of offense yet.
Yeah, I mean, I think that what we saw in game 1, I do think we saw a lot of that clogging of the neutral zone and some opportunistic play off of that. I don't think we've seen sustained play offensively by any means, but I think we've seen shades of it that were coming. But today, definitely not. And we know these Jackets too. I mean, a lot of times they are in the zone, one and done. And that's just not going to fly, particularly in this series or any postseason play, quite frankly.
Let's talk about the Muzzin hit a little bit. Obviously, there's no update yet as to where this is going for him. Again, as you said, nothing but good wishes to him. It didn't, and I know people are irate about this. I think Pierre-Luc Dubois is making a play there. There's definitely contact in the back. I think it's a shove. I don't think it, to me, shove is a step below cross check. I didn't think it elevated to a penalty-worthy cross check. And I think he gathered himself from that collision, which tells me that it wasn't the Dubois check that he was injured by. It was a kind of a strange follow through. No penalty on the play. Allison, do you think there's anything more coming for Dubois? And that there's certainly people out there who watch the game that are irate about of this. I don't think the league office takes Twitter handles into account. But there are warring factions on both sides here. First and foremost, Jake Muzzin, everybody on both sides agrees, hope he's okay. First and foremost. I don't suspect there's anything coming for Pierre-Luc Dubois from the league office on this. Do you?
I don't, and I, of course, focus on the Blue Jackets. My first thought, I actually was worried about Bjorkstrand's knee, the way that absorbed kind of that hit. And again, we have no idea. There is no diagnosis that could be made or that I am even implying. But it was such a strange series of events because Muzzin went down on the ice. He tried to get up. You could see him moving his extremities. And then it obviously became a very serious situation. So I don't think there's a penalty coming. I think that if there's a bigger discussion of how players are going to play from behind, that's a league-wide thing. This was not an egregious play in and of itself, in my opinion.
Yeah. For the Leafs, I thought Austin Matthews was fantastic in game one. Thought he was really good here in game two. Big difference for the Leafs is you saw Jonathan Tavares. I thought Mitch Marner struggled even tonight a little bit. Didn't quite click for him, but they were both dramatically different players. Tavares, 8 shots on goal, 10 shot attempts. He scored a goal, scored the 2-0 goal, which was a backbreaker given the way things have gone offensively for the Blue Jackets. Marner, 12 shot attempts, 5 on goal. He had an assist. No, he's +1. He doesn't have a point yet in the series, but they were both noticeable. And they did some line switcheroos there at the top. Does that have anything to do with the way that Columbus struggled today? In your mind, defending them, was it that simple? I tend to not think it comes down to just that, but where do you come in on that?
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, it might have been a new wrinkle, but that Blue Jackets team was not playing the way they need to play. And if you watch the post-game availability, Nick Foligno's face said it all. He was not happy with anything. And I think it was bigger. That might have been a challenge for them, but that is not the reason that this Blue Jackets team could not execute today.
Yeah. I mean, this sounds crazy. I can't believe I'm about to say this, but I'm going to. The Blue Jackets didn't take them lightly, did they? I mean, based on game one, could they have thought this was going to be easy?
I know what you're hinting at. I would like to think no, but if you watch the Leafs reaction, the Leaf fandom, I guess, community, you should say, to that game, the sky was falling, the world was ending, everything was over. And is there a flip side to that coin? I don't know. I hope not. But it's certainly possible. I mean, I'm the one suggesting it's because they didn't play an evening game. So who's to say, right?
I'll go with my theory. So coming into this game, and I've told myself not to do this because I always do it in playoff series. You say, this is the game of the series. This is the game here that made, right? And then you find yourself 2 nights later saying, this is the game that will define the series. For me, what game two was, it was a measure, not the entire measure of it, but a short-term measuring of the Maple Leafs' heart. Mm-hmm. Whereas if they had crapped the bed in game two as they did in one, I just don't think they played well at all in game one. Mm-hmm. If there wasn't some sort of pushback, then I think you would be right if you're Kyle Dubas to be really, really worried about the energy source and the heart of this team. So now we're back to all square for game three. And game three sets up huge. I mean, they're all huge. It's a best of 5. But what does Columbus have to do? I mean, Foligno, nobody really wanted to talk after the game. Foligno kept saying over and over again, just play better. Yeah. Torts must have said multiple times, Toronto was better, we sucked.
Yep.
But what does Columbus have to do? Are we looking at line changes? Is this just an approach to things? You're not touching the goal. Korpisalo was pretty good again today. Could have been 3-0 after the first period. What's the right step now for Columbus to do, Allison?
Well, I mean, I think there are a couple things. And one thing that's on my mind right now is if the workload stays the same in goal, your next 2 games are back-to-back.
Yeah.
Do you have to split that net from just a sheer workload perspective?
Right.
And again, I think there's 2 capable goaltenders, but do you have to do that? I just there was a we're going to take it to you idness, if that's a term, in game one that just didn't exist in this game. Yeah. And I think that's huge. I think that's important. I do think it's executing that forecheck. They got I mean, when Alexander Wenberg has one of your best offensive chances,
yeah, right,
you've got to think about that. But you and I, we went through the lines before the series started. I don't know that there's a magic combination that is or isn't being tried here. Right. And I do think, now I will say this for both teams, some of those penalties today, I'm like, are we just trying to make up a quota here? Like on both sides, some of those calls, but obviously discipline. I mean, I think back to your point of there's a game that kind of turns the tide. it was that game 4 against Boston when the Blue Jackets exceeded 4 penalties.
Yeah.
That was kind of it. And that was one of the first thoughts that came to my mind when they crossed the barrier of 4 today so early. The game wasn't even half over.
Yeah.
So they really have to be disciplined. That is one thing for sure they're going to have to do.
Yeah, and part of me says if they're defending all the time as they were tonight, there are going to be 5 penalties tonight. That's just kind of a reality, I think, for them. If they spend this much time in their own zone defending, there are going to be penalties. I think that's just probably a result of one leading to the other. You mentioned Wenberg having their best chance. I thought the player who had the most scoring chances, they were all shorthanded, was Riley Nash.
Tell you what, man, power kill.
Did anybody other than Korpisalo, because that would be cheating, did anybody on the Blue Jacket side impress you today with their game?
No. You?
I thought Nash's line with Robinson had some of the better shifts, and he kept waiting for it to lead to something, and it didn't.
Yeah. But did they impress you?
No, they didn't.
Question.
That's why I asked the questions, because I didn't have an answer there either. Blue Jackets lose 3-0. Series is now 1-1 after 2 games. Game 3 is Thursday at 8 p.m. Allison, anything else we need to get to?
Keep rolling. Here we go.
I'm glad you were on your game tonight. We will talk to you after the game Thursday. It is at 8 o'clock, so it'll be late night. You may be catching it Friday morning on the file, but we'll talk to you then. Thanks for being with us. Take care.